That much, man.
All right, I'm sending those guys a link now.
Who? What are we doing here, by the way?
No, we're starting with the round table. Yeah.
Oh, cool. We do an AEW review?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Get that. When's Billy coming on? I completely forgot. We got to do an NFL preview with Billy. But it's cool because he just dropped his NFL futures today on Patreon.
Oh, cool.
Who is this guy? I think it's hysterical when these dirt sheet guys or these Mulhausen. I don't even know who this guy is, right? Like because I always like when this punk stuff happened, all the Mark podcasters and they don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
So I put that tweet out, it just shows all these guys are just empty heads with empty head followers, right? So I guess this guy, he's a blue checkmark MMA wrestling guy and stuff, everything. So he tweeted the Dirt Sheets and Mark podcasters' lack of relevance and knowledge and expertise come to light this week. Empty heads with empty head followers and fans. So this guy quote tweets that this stale act is getting quite old, to be honest. So I said I would suggest the influx of people with zero experience in the business trying to gain influence for their opinions is getting old, to be honest. Right? So he quotes that. And this this guy's just these people are such schmucks, right?
Yeah.
He quotes that. Let me see here. So he quotes that tweet and says, "Please humor me and define experience in the business because based off your statement, you shouldn't be in the podcast business because you have no experience." Okay, and I'm like, I respond to him I have to humor you to explain the difference between a trained wrestling professional as opposed to a fan. Wow, So,
guys are out of control.
What bums we got here? Put these bums on. Oh, here he is, Adam DeMoy. Did I tell Adam? Did you hear about my That wasn't a confrontation. When I bumping into Tony Schiavone at the airport.
Yeah.
Bro, and you think about all the people that go through Atlanta Airport, what are the chances of Tony, bury me on his podcast a week, and I don't even live in Atlanta. I'm going to visit. I'm getting on the elevator right at the exact same moment he is, right behind him. Right? That was hysterical.
Yeah,
he's not a fan of yours. You guys, would we say that you and Tony have had a falling out?
Yeah, we just got some heat, I guess. He just doesn't like the fact that I just bury him every time I see him, or I shit on him all the time, and I shit him all.
Why do you do that? Why do you do? I mean, I thought you and Tony were cool.
We're pretty good friends. We are good friends. I got his
you bury him in the sense of when you bury, I bury Raven.
Yeah,
I mean Raven and friend. Is that like you and Tony buried each other? Because you guys are still. Do you still talk?
Yeah. I still talk. I have his personal number, so I can get him anytime. And
when was the last time you talked to him?
I talked to him about a week ago.
What'd you guys talk about?
I asked him if he wanted me to consult with AEW. He knows where my email is, and he can send me an application anytime. And then he told me, no, I'd probably get fired if I did that. And I said, well, I don't know. You got promoted now, so if you want me to consult,
he's got stroke.
Bro, he got promoted, and look at all the that got dumped in his lap his first month on the job.
Well, and you look at the people got suspended. Daniels got suspended, and Pat Buck got suspended. So Tony Schiavone's the last guy standing.
Right.
So
maybe he should get suspended.
He's the guy who set the whole Dynamite up last night. He booked the whole show.
Huh.
I know you, Adam. And I know Nicho. Who's this guy, Vinny? Vinny, who are you?
Hey, what's up?
I
I was on Roundtable a long time ago. It's been a while.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is this it? Just three?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm bringing you guys on because Conan is traveling because he's going to do the Mexican wrestling shows. I'm sure those will draw big numbers.
That's problematic.
Yeah. But we're going to do. I don't like just doing them. I like getting feedback when I do these roundtable reviews of shows. So we're going to do the AEW Dynamite review. Did you guys watch AEW Dynamite last night?
No, yes. But I heard the review Joe did with Conan, and I read up on some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched.
So
did you
just right off the bat?
Real quick, Nicho, did you feel that the AEW review with me and Conan suffered from anybody missing, or was it good?
Well, since he hasn't done my podcast, I'm going to say it was pretty awesome without
Was it good?
I listened to it. I thought it was terrible.
It was a snoozer, right?
It was just awful.
Now, I was wondering why you did the review.
I can't believe you guys actually put it up on Patreon. I would have just put it in the trash bin,
I was wondering why you did the review and then you put on Patreon does anybody want to do the AEW review roundtable? I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I had to go. I have to go to. So I work on Wednesday nights, so I can't podcast with these guys after the show's over because I'm at work. So, and Conan had to travel today, so we wouldn't be able to hook up. So
he also wanted to record a clip burying Dave Scherer as well. So.
What was the number? I'm assuming they probably did a good number because they were coming off a lot of hype. What was the number, Joe?
So AEW Dynamite last night did they stayed over 1 million according to Forbes. Let's see exactly 1.035 million. So up.
Okay, I'd be willing to bet. I'm not that number probably peaked early and tapered off as it went. As the show went on because of everybody realizing that they were tuning into something they weren't going to get. Right. I was talking to somebody like, bro, to me, when you guys, I'm sure you guys heard our take on the Punk thing and stuff and all that. And we're pretty adamant that there's two ways you can do this. Number one, you can be the stern boss and stuff, everything and all that, and fire people and because whatever Punk, like I said, everybody was right and everybody was wrong in that thing, and Punk did a lot of wrong that should get you fired. Embarrassing the owner, just good. What's the best way? Soiling the what's the word you want to use here? Just burying people, the fellow employees.
Yeah, well, and executives.
He buried. Tony Khan pays Adam Page and Colt Cabana. He's part of they're all part of the same. They're all getting paid by Tony Khan. You got one guy completely trashing the other guys, right? So they're the number 2 company, right? And they have a history of congratulating themselves when they do good numbers and excuses for when they don't have good numbers. But they've never done a number as high as their first number, which was 3 years ago, their first night, right? So, they could consider themselves successful, but I'm measuring AEW's viewership as a stock, and I bought the stock day one, and it's if I sold it today, I'm selling it at a loss, right? And I think we could all agree on that. We all agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, they keep bragging about radio stuff and everything, and do you want to compete or not? Because when to compete, you have to draw fans that are not watching your show right now to draw them to watch your show. So there's a tremendous amount of interest in the Punk scrum. For example, there are in this podcast, who said they didn't watch the show last night? Okay, Nisho, right? But you listen to our podcast.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff I get from AEW, I get from y'all. And then recently I've been in between houses and stuff. So I moved to my hometown and for about a month I was able to watch the product on Wednesday. And it was right around the time Moxley and CM Punk went at it, had that title change and everything. And I was actually getting into it. I was like, okay, cool. Right. This is interesting. A lot of stuff I heard from y'all.
My point being is that there is a lot of people that potential wrestling fans that do not watch the shows, but just listen to the podcasts. And kind of sometimes if we talk about stuff that's they'll drive the podcast. So perfect example of that and clear evidence of that is that when everybody found out that Vince McMahon was done with WWE, a lot of people came out of the woodwork that hadn't been watching for it and came back and said, well, let me start watching the show again because Vince is gone.
Okay, and that wasn't me though.
No, but I'm just saying that it shows you that when things happen in professional wrestling, you can draw the interest to people to watch the show that aren't watching because they're still following it. They're following the podcast. They're reading on the internet what's going on and stuff. But they just don't have the show is not good enough to get invested in, right? So when you have opportunities like this where there's real stuff and you're drawing people that are hey, what's going on here and everything, you're going to get people to tune in. And you can either try to capitalize on that or not, right? And we've been saying all along, ever since the stuff with Punk and Adam Page has been come to light and stuff, everything what's going to draw a number is let's hear Adam Page's rebuttal to all this stuff, which we still have not heard. Punk has trashed him and stuff, everything. He still has not gone on that show and responded to anything of the trashing of his character, right? And I was just thinking, like, bro, like, what if this show had opened up with Adam Page coming to the ring? We all know what's going on. CM Punk is a cancer, but Tony Khan, please, I'm begging you, do not fire this guy until I get my hands on him, right? And then you could bring MJF out. Wait a second, Adam Page, time out. You're stand in line. Because I'm the one, I don't want, Punk is not going to get out of this scot-free, coming up burying us and stuff. Like, I want Punk too. Bro, make something out of this. But as we're going to go over the review of the show, they decided to just completely ignore this. Just like what happened when MJF buried Tony Khan in the mic, called him a mark. They sent him home. And like we had something there, like, is this real or shoot? And they couldn't, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to capitalize on making it real or, turning that promo into a shoot angle and everything. Instead, he's he won the casino battle royal, and now he's got the chip. It's like he won the Money in the Bank, right? And they turn into that. So it's like typical wrestling, corny, whatever, right? So the show opens up. With MJF coming out, and basically he's doing. You could tell, like I could tell, he was doing a very insincere promo with the Josh Allen jersey. They're in Buffalo. He addressed the world title tournament, said he's all about working smarter, not harder, so he's not going to do that. He's not guaranteed a title shot. He's got a guaranteed title shot with this chip that he won, which is like the Money in the Bank. He's not carrying a suitcase around, he's carrying the chip. And Tony's already paid him a boatload of money, and MJF said right now the fans might think this is dark times, but what they need is I just lost my spot here. MJF said, but right now the fans might think it's dark times, but what they need right now is leadership, and he's the most qualified leader in the company. He told the stories of Moses parting the Red Sea and leading his people to the Promised Land and called himself better than Moses. He concluded by leading the crowd with an "I'm better than you and you know it." John Moxley's music hit and he came out to greet MJF through the crowd. And he had a microphone in his hand and they stood a few feet apart. Moxley told him he was absolutely full of crap. Then MJF asked if he thought he wasn't being sincere in front of all these grotesque with the worst football team in all of America. He then wiped his the Josh Allen jersey and threw it into the crowd. MJF said he has a point. Maybe he doesn't care about AEW or these people and considers it a bargaining chip in the bidding war of 2024. He threatened to take the title to a real wrestling company with real fans and real wrestlers like his hero, the American roller coaster, Cody Rhodes. MJF said he could go to work for a real boss, the only kind of wrestling worth a damn, jolly old St. Nick. He quoted his favorite wrestler of the game and said that would be best for business. Moxley replied and told him that he wasn't in the mood and that he needed to leave the ring right now or he'd make him leave. And MJF took off his scarf and his shirt comedically and then left. MJF told him his theme music sucks. He then said he was pissed off and embarrassed about a good many things, but mostly about no longer being the AEW World Champion. He said it represents passion for the sport, passion for the business, the passion of the people in the back, and the fans in the arena. Moxley said the three letters in AEW Championship represent the heroes the world needed during the pandemic and the death of the dark parts of the business that should have been left behind in another generation. And it represents everything that he loves about professional wrestling. He said the fact remains on Sunday that he lost, and that's on him, and he was supposed to be on a vacation until about 2 days ago. And Moxley said this tournament is another chance to push the Rock up the hill one more time, and he put over the other competitors. And he said the best players always want the ball, and this was his time to take the ball and run with it. And he said now was the time to become a legend. He then celebrated briefly and headed back up the ramp. And the announcer ran down the card for the remainder of the show. What did you guys think of this before I give you my opinion?
I kind of popped when I heard about him bringing up like Cody Rhodes and the bidding war of 2024 and stuff like that. But, I mean, he's been playing that card for a while, and I'm pretty sure when the time comes, he probably will jump to WWE.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Vinny, what do you think?
I don't know. I think Mox cuts a weak promo. I mean, he always has.
I'm like, really?
I mean, he back in SmackDown, he was trying to put over a potted plant, and he couldn't even do that. So I mean, I just don't like him. He's trying to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he's like a Wish version of Stone Cold Steve Austin or something. And
Vinny, what do you think?
MJF running off. That's just like a Twitter feud, like we were talking about with Billy and Sean Ross Sapp. You say you're going to do something, and then when you get in real life, what do? You just walk away. Oh, I'm not going to fight you.
Good point. Well, Vinny, what do you think? Vinny, what do you think?
I think Vinny's a little bit I think his is a few seconds behind. Yeah, he's not. His connection isn't great.
All right, well, he's just trying. Okay, well, we're going to skip Vinny.
Yeah. Vinny, you can
listen. But MJF does this MJF cuts a great promo, but he does this far too often. Bro, he's got to stop doing the cheap heat. There's no he has enough context in his promos, everything to not bury Buffalo like the Buffalo Bills are the worst. That's bro. We call that cheap heat. That's indie stuff. That's like it doesn't resonate to your massive TV audience. They don't care about like that. It's like you're getting very local. It's like it's unnecessary, right? And especially after he did the cheap heat, then he kind of went back to the shoot, like he started talking about the WWE and stuff. Bro, they had a chance to try to turn this into something realistic, and it's just all wrestling, phony. It's not. It's all an angle. There's no way you can sell any of this as a shoot anymore. So all the meat on that bone is gone. Like it's just a work. It's just another AEW angle, and this and MJF can. That they let MJF talk about this stuff. They're like, look, it's a shoot, but we know it's not because it's not going anywhere. Right, it's just another wrestling angle. Then he leaves the ring. Just I don't know. It's like, the funniest thing about it is the people that love AEW were like, "What a great opening segment and stuff." Everything like people that were probably tuning in to find out like what's going on with this. But I'm sure they after that first segment they just quit watching the show. Okay, I would be willing to bet a considerable amount of money on that. That like Adam, what do you guys say?
Well, that's what we did. My wife was watching with me. She said, let's just go to Sweet Frog and get some frozen yogurt or something.
Yeah, I mean, like you had me interested. Punk saw this Punk stuff, and like after that first segment, it's like, all right. So then we go to the Tony.
I think that pending the internal investigation, it's probably corporate or somebody in HR that's like, let's not talk about this until the investigation. I don't think they have a choice for it.
Why not? Bro, you have no clue. Yeah, it's definitely Joe.
See? I don't know.
Sweet posters, Adam.
Oh, yeah, thanks, yeah. Big memorabilia collector. That poster back there, that U2 one right there, that's the Red Rocks show that they did at the Red Rocks.
Oh, wow.
It says tickets still available. It was a real famous company they did. U2 did. That one up there is autographed by all 4 members. There we go. Uh-oh, Dr. Funkenstein's here.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Dr. Funkenstein. Where are you at? Oh, there you are, Dr. Funkenstein. Actually, I'm going to, Joe dropped out. We're just going to continue here. Okay. I'm sure it's because it's actually being recorded still. So, all right. So we went over the first segment. So the next segment is Tony at the beginning of the show came out and they did, he said that we're going to have a world title tournament and a trios title match. And for some reason, Pac, Ray Phoenix, and Penta are in this. I guess Orange Cassidy, Trent Barretta, and Chuck Taylor for the Vacant Trios Championship. I'm sure Conan probably liked this match. Like if you like Lucha, you like this match. But bro, there was like these guys are literally they're smacking their thighs. No, you have no. Yeah, it's crazy that Joe's whatever that is. You got to fix that. Did you guys hear that again? By the way.
Yeah.
All right, so this was just a spot fest. Didn't make any sense. Everything was just there was no flow, like heel, baby face, or anything. It was just like trading moves back and forth with all acrobatic spots, and they did a spot with Danhausen and what's the guy's name? Chuck, the assistant.
Chuck Taylor.
No. The guy that's the manager of the Abraham Abrahantes. So him and Danhausen did a spot outside, and Danhausen's trying to do like spells on them and everything, and then they try to do a spell on Pac, and then Pac kicked him right in the face. I like that. But basically, Pac landed the Black Arrow on Chuck and got the win. This was like just everything wrong with modern wrestling just was on display in this match. These guys don't sell very well. They're constantly smacking their thighs every time they do a kicking motion to make it sound like they're. Think about that. You're kicking somebody in the chest, okay, with a boot on. All right. How is that a possible sound that would make? I mean, is it just me, or am I being too critical about this stuff?
I've never really cared too much about the in-ring stuff, to be honest. I know everybody talks about it a lot, but I mean, for me, it is silly, and when it looks bad, it looks real. But I think a lot of people are overly, I think if it looked more real, I don't think that trumps like storylines or interest and things like that. But I did not watch this match, by the way. I was washing.
You didn't miss anything.
I had to wash some dishes on this one, so I had some going on.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. This is it's just too much. I mean, bro, they do the smacking the thing. They do it just openly and like it looks absurd in the concept of a like you're supposed to be out there in combat, and all you're worried about is like making this. Like, it's just, I don't know, just like when it's done this much. People are watching stuff like this and like this still looks too fake. And if you can ignore it, but the people that are ignoring it are in a click and an echo chamber.
That ought to do it.
Okay. Well, I'm echoing now.
Yeah, it's still fucked up.
What the f?
What's going on, Joe? Yeah. No, you're muted, Joe.
And so if I'm not muted,
okay. Yeah, when you're muted, we don't echo. Can you guys hear it? So
yeah, sounds good.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're not echoing when you're muted, just to stay muted. Unless you want to talk, then unmute. And then we'll be quiet. So then we go to a fantastic backstage segment. The Dark Order was interviewed, okay? Preston 10 Vance was on so Andrade and his Jose shows up and offers Preston 10 Vance another contract. And then Uno and John Silver in a very comical, comedic, non-convincing manner refused. They said we're not going to. They shut him down. Then Andrade walked up and said something. And then even the Dark Order seemed confused and they tossed Vance a crutch. This was like, bro, they get like absolutely zero mileage out of their backstage segments. This was like corny and bad acting and comical and stuff like that.
Who produces the backstage segments there?
I don't know. I'd like to know who. Because like they're letting this stuff get to air without the producer saying cut, let's do it this stuff and thing. But bro, this looks like to me, okay, that like you got a guy like Andrade who you should be pushing. You have nothing for him. He's probably complaining about wanting to be used, and this is all you can come up with him to put him on the show is like a minute and a half segment with the Dark Order. Is exactly what this comes across as. Like you're trying to keep the guy happy by keeping him in the mix, but the content here is atrocious. And am I wrong? Is it
every segment is the same for those? But I wonder because a lot of times there's segments where it's something like awkward like that, and then every one of the segments has a run in. Those are usually setting up for the taping for Rampage,
right?
Like for a match on then. So I don't know if it's like just lazy or if that's their idea of good content, but I mean it's very formulaic.
Think about that. It is lazy because at some point they should think like we're doing all these 45 to 1 minute segments in the back that are very poorly done and very poorly edited to try to build our audience for Rampage, and our Rampage audience stinks.
It's terrible.
So we're not drawing anything. So like, why even bother? Like if you're wasting content on your show to try to draw for Rampage and trying to do it in 45 seconds to 1 minute, it's like you're wasting your time.
It's awful.
So then
is that fixed now?
Yeah, it's better. Yes, you're good now. All right. So then after this terrible segment, we go to Penelope Ford's back, and she makes her entrance, and Kip Sabian's doing this thing. But she's out there with Kip Sabian, who still has the box on his head.
Yeah, that don't make any sense.
Which looks like even as amateurish as the segment was before, this put an exclamation point on like how amateur does this show look? This guy's coming out with a box on his like this looked like complete indie access cable television like goofy. What do you guys think about Kip Sabian wearing the box on his head?
Well, he came back. I think it was just last week as himself again, without the box and a new look and all that. He had a match on Sunday, and then he's back to the box on Wednesday.
Yeah, why?
It didn't make any sense to me. Yeah,
I don't know who Kip Sabian is, but there is a thread across both companies where they have smoking hot women. And they put them with like these just total douchebag, like I don't know Kip Sabian, but I'm just saying like for a smoke show to come out with like cleavage and everything, and it's a dude with a mask that says or a bag that says underrated or something. It makes no sense.
And he's got he's weighs 180 pounds. He's not like an imposing figure of the shit.
You got the other chick that was with the Dark Order forever, and she's yeah, man, she's super hot. I don't understand. It's very weird. Both companies. The only one that doesn't do it is the Scarlet one. She's with Kevin, but everybody else, it's either like a athletic chick wrestler who's asexual, or it's a chick with a bunch of weird dudes. Yeah, it's a little weird.
All right, so next we got Did anybody else any comments so far?
That Kip Sabian guy, he wore that box, at the event and even outside the event. Like I went
to that. Really?
I went to that Conrad thing in Chicago the year before, and he showed up there and he still had the box on his head. When he walked out of the hotel, he still had the box on his head. He's walking all around with the.
But what's weird is he has the box on his head, but bro, I don't know who the he is without the box.
I don't know who he is.
I don't know who he is.
Just an indie guy. I mean, what genre?
I saw him at a convention. I guess Penelope must have been there, and he was just walking around with the box on his head.
I'm sure he's a cool guy. I'm sure he's good. I'm just saying, like, you got a box in the guy's head, but even without the box, I don't know who you are. So it doesn't make any sense.
You got some Al Snow gimmick going on or something with the box.
But
all right, so next is Tony Storm against Penelope. This wasn't very good. The finish was kind of like, I don't know what the move was, like a DD, like a jumping DDT or something. But like, I don't know.
I heard there might have been a concussion involved or something. That's why I looked up. Or
really?
Could have just been yeah.
They're both hot. I will say that. So
right.
That
and this did nothing to accentuate their sex appeal because the match was not that great. So then after so I saw this the other day. I'd heard the name Action Bronson, but I didn't know if he was a rapper or a wrestler. Okay, and I thought that like Action Bronson, like so they showed the highlights of him like coming in the ring from whatever that was with the who are the guys? Our boys, the 2.0 guys, right? Well, he comes out with Hook. They showed that like Action Bronson Hook confronting 2.0 at it was basically setting it up, right? So they claim make their entrance, and before they could finish the entrance, okay, here's another thing too. Everybody on social media, right, on Wednesday, like was anticipating what the Max Caster rap would be based on the Punk stuff, right? So before he could get his rap out, Swerve interrupts him.
I like it.
I thought, why? You don't want to hear the Max Caster rap? Really? That was like a draw. Everybody's like, well, turn this in, and Swerve comes out and interrupts him.
I thought that was the best thing they could do because they weren't bringing anything up, which I wish they would have. But if they're not going to bring it up, I like the idea of giving the dude, I don't know the guy's name, Swerve, some personality, make him a bad guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the long-term purpose of it was good. And it just showed you how over they were, man. I mean, dude, he got a great heel response just from f***ing up his rap.
Yeah.
But, I Swerve. I think he's a good wrestler and he's good character and stuff like that. But like Conan said on Joe's review, his mic work is terrible,
right.
And it's not getting better. And then on Keith Lee, he needs to quit this Demolition Man act that he's got going on, and try to get some personality or something.
Right. So Billy got interrupted and said it wasn't Swerve's house anymore; it was Daddy Ass's house. Bowens reiterated that the uncrowned champions, the Acclaim, would take on Swerve and Our Glory at Arthur Ashe, and he then did the scissor me daddy ass bit, and then whatever. So what'd you think of this? I mean, I don't know why on earth, bro. You got FTR and all these tag teams and everything, and for some reason Swerve and Keith Lee are the tag team champions, and they're in an angle with the Acclaimed.
Well, the Acclaimed is awesome. I will give them.
They got personality. Like it really sticks out on that show because a lot of nobody has hardly anybody has any personality on that show.
I like them more than FTR for sure.
Yeah, it's funny having them do that whole scissor me daddy, that innuendo kind of saying that they do. I heard Joe and Conan talk about it.
Yeah,
but how is that? I mean, it's innuendo, but that's two lesbians. Lesbian scissor. What does that have to do with two guys? I don't know. I mean, I get their crowd, and if you look at it on Twitter, everybody loves that. But it's not.
That's just
not supposed to.
I guess they watch a lot of lesbian porn, so they're in the.
It's the same thing as all the other
lingo.
Like John Cena did the "I can't see me" thing, but I can see.
Because you see a lot of people in the crowd doing the thing.
It's just a funny little logo. Yeah, I'm cool with it.
So Chris Jericho and Anna Jay stood with Sammy Guevara and Tay Conte, and Tony Schiavone conducted the interview. Jericho said the Jericho Appreciation Society was better than ever, and he told the story of Ponce de Leon searching for the fountain of youth, but he said he found it and called himself the best sports entertainer ever. He said he beat Daniel Bryanson next week. That's news to Hangman. Isn't that funny? He said he's going to beat Bryan Danielson next week, so he basically gave away the finish of the match because the match hadn't happened yet, right? And then Sammy Guevara beat Darby Allin on Friday. He called AEW his company that no one can take away from. Bro, this is another thing where whoever's producing this vignette, I'm sure this was a pre-tape, didn't realize what Jericho said and tipped off the finish and would have said, "Hey, you can't. Don't say you're facing Bryan Danielson next week." We wouldn't know that yet.
Yeah, it was sloppy.
Bro, everybody thinks I'm like a hater. I'm not. Am I being unreasonable pointing out these things?
No, I mean this is what everybody's pointing at.
I'm just pointing that they make a lot of errors on this show, and some of the stuff I like, but like I can't like ignore these errors. I mean, like that was an error. I mean, am I right? It's like basically right. It's an error, right? So I don't know. So next, Wardlow, who, bro, the funny thing about it is like I love it how the dirt sheet guys and the fans of AEW will talk about how the Wardlow MJF angle was great long-term storytelling, right? And I'm like, my criticism of it was always like, well, bro, great long-term storytelling is great when the conclusion of the angle is, results in a swerve or something where everybody that knew where it was going got like you gave us a curveball, but everybody knew where this angle was going. That Wardlow would turn on MJF eventually, and then he beat MJF. Like everybody literally, that was the angle. So if everybody knows the result of the angle, it's not really that good of an angle if everybody knows the finish. Like if you're reading a book, somebody tells you the book's like 700 pages long, and you're reading it, and you know what the ending is. Like, are you really like? Is it a good book?
That's a great.
Or like some, what I'm saying? It's like because that's how long this book was. Then, not to mention coming out of this, bro, these guys have gone nowhere. No. Wardlow's in a holding pattern. They have no clue what to do with him. He's sticking with FTR and everything. MJF got sent home. Stuff like so. It's like this, bro. To accomplish this great long-term storytelling between Wardlow and MJF accomplished nothing. To the point that Wardlow's stuck. He's wrestling Tony Nese here with Mark Sterling for the TNT Championship. Why Tony Nese is a TNT Championship match? There's no build-up or nothing for this, right? He beats him in 1 minute. So I think that's kind of funny here. Wardlow after the match kind of, I think, shows a little bit of, displeasure in his booking. Said he's been hearing a lot on the internet that Wardlow has lost his momentum. Yeah, you have. Okay. And he should do this and that. He thanked his fans that stuck with him since day one and reminded his critics that this is Wardlow's world. What did you think? What did you guys think about him having this match, and what did you think of the promo after?
Go ahead.
Go, Dicho.
I mean, Wardlow, for some reason it brings up like you said, they don't have nothing for him, so they just stick him with FTR.
Right.
And he's the TNT champion or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's a big dude, so why not have him go against, tag him with someone else and then go with
no, don't Keith tag. No, I came up with a good bro. He could do some good TV, like an angle, like 4 or 5 weeks build up to match with Ethan Page. Ethan Page, a decent sized guy, cuts a good promo and stuff. They can do a good verbal, back and forth and everything, and Ethan Page can work. And he's an imposing figure that could get heat on Wardlow. You know what I'm saying? So, Wardlow's doing nothing. He's not in any angle. Like, they're just sticking him out there, wrestling a guy and giving him the mic. It's like, bro, there's nothing more frustrating as a wrestler when they give you nothing. Like, you have no storyline for you and stuff. You just have a match. You show up for TV. You got 8 minutes with this guy. But afterwards, but they're going to give you the mic for 30 seconds before the match to talk. But it's literally, they're not giving you anything.
Is he even in the tournament?
No. Like, how could he not have been one of the guys in the tournament? Think about that.
I was just thinking. Yeah, I didn't see his name on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, this guy should be. He should have had a bye. Jericho and Mox had the buys. He should have been one of the guys that had the buy.
Who'd they put? Sammy, and who was the other guy?
Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Like the dude looked skinny little.
That makes
170 pounders like in the world.
Like, why does he even have the TNT belt? It's like the European Championship. You're not supposed to have that. You're supposed to be going for the big belt,
right?
And
could you imagine if Dana White was booking the show?
I like Bischoff's snooty little comment on Twitter where he put, we're defending a TNT title on TBS. That makes sense or something.
Yeah, right.
I mean, why can't he feud like Lance Archer, like another big guy?
Dude,
where is Lance Archer?
That's funny you said that, Finn, because I was watching the other night, and I think they have Wardlow on Dynamite with the TNT Championship, and then they got the
Jade.
Jade is on TNT with the TBS Championship. But you never see him on either one. It's a little wacky.
Right. All right. So after the match, Wardlow pulls Mark's, try to give Mark Sterling the thing, but Josh Woods saves Mark Sterling, whoever that guy is. Seriously, I need like honestly like Wikipedia to watch this show because I have no idea who any of these guys.
My
are.
wife's favorite people are the randoms. Like last week, they had the guys that were like pinkies out, bro, and they all got their ass beat by that guy. I can't remember, but
I don't even know who that is.
I forgot who it was, man.
So next is Brian Danielson against Hangman Page. Good match, you know. But
did you notice that old Hangman Page there got a mixed reaction?
Yeah, because he's been. Well, I'm going to get to that.
Yeah.
So basically, good match. Brian goes to the buckshot Larry. Danielson avoided and rolled him up with O'Connor and beats him 1, 2, 3 in 23 minutes. And for this audience, they're just happy to see a good match. You know, so they'll go, "Oh, what a great match that was!" And everything. But bro, I'm like, if I'm, you know, Vince McMahon always says you gotta grab the brass ring, right? But Hangman Adam Page has let his character just like, if it's a stock, it's plummeted.
Yeah, it's trash.
I mean, it's like, you know, like you know when Bitcoin was at 60,000, now it's at like 20. You know, like he's like Bitcoin. Like he hasn't won a meaningful match in forever. He's been emasculated on the mic. Has not got a chance to respond, and he just goes under here, and he's like, "Bro, they're doing absolutely nothing with this guy." When, like, literally, they beat a guy that everybody was dying to hear from. You didn't get to hear from him, and we're just going to beat him. I'm like, bro, I would book this. This show would have been unbelievable. If I was like the booker of this show, this would have been an incredible show.
Well, maybe he's being punished for the initial Punk comment, which is caused everything.
Bro, he lost the match. Yeah. And they did the $1 Million House. He did his bro. Punk is being so petty, you know, like oh, he buried me on the mic and said this and that, risking the first $1 million. Well, no, you did the $1 Million House, and you went over, you beat him, and after you beat him, you got his receipt back on him.
Well, let's talk.
So it's like, you know,
let's talk about that for a second, because no matter what happened Sunday night, Punk was out. He tore his tricep or something. They're not really sure yet, but he's out 6 to 8 months anyway. So,
how do we know that?
Meltzer and Adam DeMoy.
Is it? I mean, honestly, because bro, in that post, in that scrum, that did not look like a guy with a torn tricep.
That's what I was going to say.
He had an ice pack on it
before.
Did he have an ice pack on it?
He had an ice pack on his. Like here.
That's not your tricep, though.
Yeah. So he was out anyway.
His pec. He tore his pec.
Okay, so what I'm saying.
Was it pec or tricep?
Adam says pec. I go pec.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless you hear from Pump, like that's the thing. I'm not trusting any sourcing on any story I'm hearing.
Yeah.
From the dirt sheet guys or anything, because I still think they're trying to spin this, manipulate the media, and try to get their story based on what they did on the show. That they're sweeping it. They swept the whole thing under the rug. Like, we're not going to talk about it. We're not just, you know, and so it's like, so why am I thinking that I'm going to actually be hearing like any accurate news coming out of this when they're trying to keep it all quiet?
You know who's a good news source now that they just kind of started doing it? Okay, DI, you know who Brian Last is?
Yeah.
He works with Cornette. So on his Arcadian Vanguard YouTube channel, they do daily wrestling news. And the guy Mike Sempervive from the Observer does the reporting.
Right.
But it's like completely unbiased, and it takes the news from everywhere and kind of filters it. And they also have their own sources. So I've been listening to that. I mean, they don't have any skin in the game, that especially not Brian Last and Cornette.
Well, Mike Sempervive does.
Well, he works for the Observer. He's
an Observer, right?
The Observer too, yeah. But I think he's just a guy reading it. They just wanted a guy with a good voice.
Like he's doing like the Tim Pool news.
Yeah.
Where you're reading stories and stuff like that.
And dude, it's like 8 to 10 minutes on YouTube. You can catch up with everything like that. Not all this extended verbose reports that you get from other guys, you know? So anyway, but I guess my question would be, all this trouble happened. Punk's proven he can't physically stand up to this really anymore.
2 matches in a row he's got hurt after he won the title.
And he's out 6 to 8 months. What do you do in 6 to 8 months? Would you still be like, all right, you got to come back? The guy's damaged goods. So you wouldn't. What if you can get him and the Elite to work together, though? Which is a big if.
Too late. It's going to be too late.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, you got to do something now. You got to send him out there with a mic and stir some up and have a group. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's what this is all about. Is you have the only thing.
Why not have him on like commentary?
Yeah, well, not even. I'm saying that you have the WWE guys, right, versus the AEW originals. Punk can just be a talking piece for that group, and just that's all he can do. But he can talk a lot of. That's all he really does anyway. that's really all you can do.
More important though, we got to realize that Disco had a torn pec, and that he continued to wrestle. And
I wrestled that night. I tore it at the gym in the afternoon and wrestled that night.
Yeah. So I mean, if Disco can tough it out and keep wrestling, that just shows you that Punk, he's just not up to the wrestling.
You never got it surgically. You never got it surgically repaired, right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So next, Stokely Hathaway. Oh, but by the way, Christian left to have some surgery. Jungle Boy said he prolonged the inevitable and then turned his attention to Luchasaurus and said he'd been left with no choice but to destroy him.
So that's another 6 to 8 months they lost a guy. And we talked
about
all
these old guys and they have one match and they're hurt. I was like,
well, we talked about in the pay-per-view review, like, geez, why would they turn Luchasaurus again? But now I figure it's just because they knew Christian was out. We got to spin Jungle Boy off to somebody. Let's just turn Luchasaurus again.
Hopefully they take that stupid mask off his head.
Where's the heat between the two? Like, did he accidentally drop him off his shoulders or something?
I don't know.
Luchasaurus is evil.
Makes no sense whatsoever. They should have never
evil shenanigans.
They should have never ever split up Christian and Luchasaurus originally after they got together. Then they turned him back as a babyface and just to turn him back as a heel again, which they never should have turned him babyface with Jungle Boy to begin with. So they're right back at square one where they should have been 6 weeks ago, right?
But he stopped slapping his leg. So
well, he hadn't done that. Yes, he has not done that.
What if he changed his mask? What if he changes his mask up to like one of those Jurassic Park toys where mouth opens up?
No, Jesus. So next, my favorite character on the show.
You need a kazoo or you need Nick Aldis's bell.
Hey, Mike,
Stokely Hathaway comes on the stage with all his crew and said everybody wants an explanation for what he did it all out. Somebody walked off from the screen like a producer and told Stokely they didn't have time to do this. Stokely told him that when he has a microphone, he is owed the same respect as that man's father. Stokely's crew consists of the Gunn brothers, Lee Moriarty, W. Morrison, Ethan Page, and they destroyed the production system. The funniest thing about this is that the Gunn brothers were holding the production assistant up on the ramp. W. Morrissey comes up to kicks him, and he does like just a blatant whoop right on the thing. Like,
someone
did you see that?
I saw
he just woo. He just like
I saw someone tweet at you, and they were like, "Disco's going to be thrilled because W. Morrissey just did a leg slap in jeans."
Blatant legs. Like, I mean, it's just, bro, that looks terrible. I don't know how these guys, everybody in that locker room watching this on the monitor and watching the work, and everybody's the slap and not think that it looks atrocious. I don't know. So next for some ungodly reason, Adam Page and Bryan Danielson were not the main event. Thunder Rosa hurt her knee. I heard she hurt it in a match on Dark.
I've read she has a hurt. Sorry,
Joe. What was that?
Yeah, a clip just started playing. It was something I played for Conan last night.
All right. So next is, for some reason, this is the main event. Daniel Garcia, who's been in more main events than anybody. In Dynamite. Yeah. I mean, literally, he has. Go look at the Dynamite main events. I think Daniel Garcia is the number one main eventer on this show because Tony Khan doesn't know where to place the main event on the show. Maybe he thinks the main event's the third or fourth match, but this Daniel Garcia is always in the last match on the show. And him and Utah had a typical match that these guys would have where there's no personality or nothing for either guy, and it's typical modern wrestling, and just, I don't. Daniel Garcia beat him. And after that, Bryan Danielson walked out and entered the ring, and Utah shoved him away at first, but then shook Garcia's hand. Then Danielson grabbed the Pure Championship belt and collapsed it across the waist of Garcia. And then he shook Garcia's hand and raised it in the air, and then Jericho walked out of the stage and was unhappy. It's about the best way to describe it. And that was the end of the show. The show had no heat, by the way, 0. It lets you call getting heat on the production guy as heat.
Yeah.
That was the only heat on the show. Am I right?
They wanted it to be positive, and I think that was like this, I guess, like a safe space for the wrestling world after a long, stressful week.
Absolutely. You know what? That's a great, because I was thinking about that too. That I just wonder if they're not tackling any of these like serious issues that they're having, like making it real because they don't want to offend people. Yeah. Like, because their audience is easily offended. Yeah. They're easily offended.
Traumatized.
They don't want criticism. They don't want hate speech levied against them or mean things said about them. They just want to produce a wrestling show which is predicated on drawing audiences and stuff and building heat where the bad guys are beating down the good guys. So they want everybody kind of just like, we don't want to really upset anybody when we're doing the show, and just everybody be happy when we're done. You know,
Just
you get that vibe.
Show.
Yeah, you get that vibe, right?
Yeah, that was the whole show. It was just like a very positive, artificial. Yeah, that's what it was, like a safe space.
Power Rangers Is that pure belt that they have in ROH? Is it called the pure trash belt, or what's it?
Bro, let me get it. I don't have
I'm confused. So he won the pure belt, but then Cesaro's the Ring of Honor champion. So what's Samoa Joe? He's got a belt, Ring of Honor belt, right?
Yeah, he came back during the pay-per-view, Samoa Joe.
Yeah, no follow-up on that. Yeah. Well, he's wrestling Friday. Yeah.
I don't think he's a champion. I haven't seen him wrestling like a year.
Yeah.
No.
No. So the pure belt's like the secondary belt or something?
Yeah. But then they have it. Oh, it's the TV belt. Joe is the Ring of Honor TV belt with no TV show.
What'd you think of the that gaming website, Kotaku? They wrote a big story about the Punk thing. And in the story, they wrote that they reached out to Warner Brothers Discovery for a comment.
Hey, so they're doing their job.
But you gotta think nobody in Warner Brothers probably watched, that wrestling show, and they're like, "Oh, what happened?" And then
they're too busy casting Batgirl.
Whatever shakes out, the number 2 in AEW, and I can't think of her name, but Disco probably knows what I'm talking about. Conan.
Oh, the lawyer chick.
Yeah, they're like number 2 under Tony the lawyer. She was like in the room for the fight and everything. So I don't know why there has to be an investigation. Just go off what she says.
I think the best take on the whole thing so far, which, like I said, I thought it's the most interesting I've been in any wrestling product probably since the 90s. The best take was, I think, either Bischoff or Bully Ray posted something about, like, really nobody gives a shit about the fight. Like, that happens. It's really like, dude, your guy sat there and just completely teabagged your entire company right next to the owner. That's the interesting part to me. The fight, I don't really care that much about. I'm sure that happens all the time.
Well, come on. CM Punk finally won a fight. That's amazing.
I don't know if he won or not. Who knows?
Yeah, I know, right?
It sounds like the one guy did.
I've dealt with this Khan family before the wrestling thing because my team's the Jaguars.
Oh, God bless you.
Are you really?
I've been a Jag fan since 95. I grew up around Jacksonville.
That's brutal.
The Jags have always been my team, and I've had to deal with this family way before wrestling and this Tony Khan guy. And I mean, he's just been a rich kid his whole life. He's never worked in any kind of environment that you're going to be witness to political, games and stuff and political atmosphere of a business. So he doesn't really know how to deal with running a business. But
that's not his fault, man. If somebody gave me $11 billion, I'd be partying too.
Yeah, but I think, what I mean?
Like, you can afford to make.
Adam, what Conan and Disco say is really right, though. No matter how much we read about it or hang around or whatever, like, until you are in the locker room and have to try to run it, you don't know. Now Tony knows a little better. And actually, the one thing I just read was that, there's some people in the AEW locker room that are like, yo, you can't blame Punk because the backstage was at its worst while he was gone. It was all brewing in the spring and everything, So, I mean, he's a big part of it, but while he was gone, it was supposed to get its worst.
This is all the most interesting that's happened in wrestling for me since the 90s.
Yeah, I haven't been on a message board or watched daily YouTube reports in forever, and now I've been doing it to find out what's going on.
I was very disappointed when I turned on the show last night, and there was like nothing. There was no follow up. There was no drama. That just ruined the whole show for me.
And like how the dirt sheets operate, with Meltzer, he's a West Coast guy, so like the Bucks are West Coast, and Omega's West Coast, so they're all stooging to Meltzer. Meltzer's stooging to No DQ, which is LA, and No DQ stooging over here to Wrestling News Source, which is
East Coast, West Coast beefs are coming back. And then
then those stooge sites are stooging it over here to the ringside and everything else. So it's like who's the stooge in AEW? Who's the guy that's stooging out the most information to the dirt sheets that's causing all the drama within AEW? And I think we know it was Hangman and
the Bucks.
Yeah.
Do they pay people like when you were in WCW or TNA or just in the know-how? Do dirt sheets put people do they pay them for scoop or is it?
I don't know. I never talked to the dirt sheets. No, they just shit. You could always tell.
Give it up.
The guys that dirt sheets would put over probably the guys that they were the guys that were stooging to. That's the only thing we kind of figured. You never know. You know,
how does like a random because there's so many that's what I've learned through this Punk thing is there's a million different dirt sheets out there. They all get different scoops. Are wrestlers, they just reach out to just anybody and give it to them? They just answer a message? I mean, how did they?
If they want to get their side of the story across, or they want to bury somebody
for free?
Yeah.
Because I think it's like where the wrestlers came up from. Because like in Southern California, there was XPW back in the early 2000s, and so the dirt sheet in Southern California that probably interviewed like Daniel Bryan, who wrestled for them.
Yeah, when he was nobody, right?
When he was a nobody, kind of promoted him up to get him national attention. So those original federations that they worked in, they owe loyalty to those dirt sheets for promoting their name. So that's who they're going to go stooge to when they're like a star. And then it just all like all these feeders like funnel into that dirt sheet, and then that dirt sheet stooges out to where they went.
They always say Heyman, was a major leaker to the Torch.
I've heard that.
The Observer. And what did the Observer and the Torch always do for Paul? He's a genius. You got to see. I mean, I love ECW, but yeah, he's a genius, and he needs to be involved more in WWE creative and blah blah. And that's like Disco said. That's one of the tells when these guys really put somebody over.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So
I mean, that's everywhere. I mean, you think about it. I mean, you my back, you scratch or not? You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, kind of deal.
But the dirt sheets are making more money off the CM Punk thing than AEW is.
Yeah.
Like Fightful's got over 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
I saw that the other day. I was like, holy shit.
Like $12 a month or something.
Just I don't know how much it costs.
No, they get different tiers. So.
Fightful's $5 and $10 and that. But I mean, it's industry like wide, because if you look at the Keeping It 100 YouTube official, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be one of our biggest videos. It was, let me see, Conan on AEW's Media Scrum Meltdown, 73,000 views in 2 days. So that's a big one for that channel.
It's 50,000 views in 6 hours.
That's what I'm saying. It's very entertaining stuff. It really is. It's a shame they're going to ignore it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Disco, if you had a dirt sheet, what would you name it?
The Disco's Pit.
The Disco's Pit.
Disco's Pit.
What about the dance floor?
Just Disco's Pit.